What's happening, everybody? Shane here from the Twin Sons podcast, and today I want to bring you a video talking about a few different things. So first off, we hosted a pretty massive tournament. We had 128 people sign up, which we capped it at that. Had a ton of people on a wait list, and then we had 80 players the day of. You know, a lot of people can't make it; they don't let you know. Some people do let us know. We can move people in from the wait list, but we ended up shooting off the tournament with 80 people, which we were really excited about. And it was our first big tournament all in one day. Ran through Smash GG. Has a $400 prize pool. So it was really, really fun to go. I learned a lot about TOing. Had a lot of help from OTK AQX. If you guys don't follow him on Twitter, he's a great guy. He's part of the OTK Club, which is a awesome organization for lore esports. Top of that, I had help from mods, my friend Tyler, and also my friend Infamous. They both really crushed it on mods. So shout out to those guys. But we ran the tournament. It was 6 rounds of Swiss, and 2 people out of those 80 went 6-0 on that day. It was the same format as Riot Seasonal. So it was Riot Lock, as some people call it. You can't overlap champions anywhere. You can't overlap exact regions, and you can't have more than 2 decks with 0 champions in your lists. So those were the restrictions to the tournament, and it was 6 rounds of Swiss play, like I said. Now we're leading into the top 16, which is going to take place this Saturday coming up on April 10th. That'll be live casted. I'll be casting it with Scarzigs. Scarzigs is a great content creator for lore. He does a lot of casting as well. He and I will be casting the top 16, which will be single elimination bracket play, on Saturday, April 10th. Today's video, I want to talk about the top 2 players, so Seed 1 and Seed 2, which is Sneak and Den. Those 2 players both went 6-0 on the day. There were only 2 players to go 6-0, so I'm going to jump in and look at their 3 lists. So now I'm going to just look at the 6 lists together in the 2 different lineups right here. But in the description, there'll be a link to a Google Doc, which will have it's like an Excel sheet of every player's lists. They also have their Twitter linked, a lot of them, and their Twitch. So if you want to follow the players, make sure to jump on that. Give them a follow. Give them a like here and there. Show them some support. They really were quite incredible. I'm not just talking about these top 2, but we had a lot of great performances from across the board. But these top 2 players that went 6-0 are the number 1 and 2 seed leading into the top 16. So I just want to break down their decks a little bit and just kind of talk about, the 3 decks that they brought in and possible ban strategies that they had. Not speaking for the players, just kind of as somebody who's looking in at this tournament and was able to watch some games that day. Talk about what was going on here. And if you guys are interested to see these guys in action, make sure April 10th, this Saturday, 1 p.m., we'll be live casting all of the games, talking about them as they're happening and crowning our first champion for the Twin Sons Open. So make sure to tune into that. But for now, let's jump into the actual content here. So first up, I have Den's list. So Den is an EU player. He actually won the EU seasonal in the first seasonal tournament. Great guy. He writes for this awesome website here called RuneterraCCG.com, who also sponsored the tournament alongside of Optima and Casuals Runeterra. So you guys haven't heard of those guys either, check them out. They sponsored this awesome tournament as well. But Den brought 3 different lists. Obviously, you have to bring 3 different lists. He brought Discard Aggro, Scouts, and Lee Sin Zoe. So, again, this was right after the patch where Philios' Moon Weapons went to 3 mana, on top of TF having a couple changes, and the Burblefish as well having a couple changes. So it was that happened on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then this tournament happened on Saturday, this past Saturday, right, April 3rd. So there was a lot of changes that just happened to the meta. So, if you're thinking, oh, why wasn't TF Fizz plays? This is actually right after all of those edits, and some people still brought TF Fizz. So let's go through. So we have Discard Aggro. So this list looks pretty standard. Up front, we're running 3 suit ups, which is pretty spicy, and using those, I'm sure, on things like from the Poro cannon. The elusive Poro is great for that. Even Flame Chompers is a great use for that as well. So this list is pretty awesome. Just straight up Discard Aggro. It has to be answered. There's some matchups that just can't beat Discard Aggro consistently, and you can just aggro people down. You don't know exactly what you want to ban against this. You're obviously, you don't really want to play into heavy healing list. Trundle Lysandra has a ton of healing. Things like that are going to be pretty annoying. A lot of things that have a lot of 1 damage pings or board wipe are pretty annoying. So even Vlad Braum is kind of annoying to play against since they use so many ice shards and things like that. So I think it's a pretty fun list to bring to a tournament. It's very quick and it's different. As far as it's a really great ladder list. We've seen that consistently, but as far as something to bring to a tournament, I feel like we don't see it all the time, which is pretty cool to see. His second list was scouts here. So you see Misfortune Quinn, bringing Quinn back into the meta. We got this list actually does have 2 Cataclysm, which is pretty cool, and it's favoring Genevieve over Sith of the Bold. There's only 1 Sith of the Bold here, but on top of that, really important, we're running 3 Stony Suppressors, which is awesome. So this is a great tech by Den here. Stony Suppressor is a fantastic card. Really just screws with a lot of people's game plans. There's a lot of lists that really want to spam spells out, and Stony Suppressor really screws with those. Scouts is a great list to bring to a tournament. Has a lot of damage output. Really just blasts things down. And again, it's a matchup that can really go well into some of these later decks that are looking to stall. This deck can just end games turn 6, turn 7 in a rallying attack and just really get damage through. So obviously you don't have to just run Relentless Pursuit when you have the access to Cataclysm and you're running Scouts, because when you can attack with just a free attack with a Scout, that will rally for you since you're attacking solo with a Scout. So a lot of synergy there, obviously, with Cataclysms and Scouts, and it's a really strong list that, has seen the test of time, right? It's just been super solid throughout. Lee Sin is back. He really didn't need to go away that bad. I think TF Fizz was holding him off a little bit, but we're not seeing as much TF Fizz in this tournament, so Lee Sin is back. Lee Sin Zoe is a nightmare to play against. This list has so much versatility. I mean, between just Sparklefly being an absolute monster after you get gems on it, or Eye of the Dragon just keeping you in games against any aggro deck, you really just need to wait it out and get your OTK set up by putting Zenith Blade and the overwhelm you get from Zenith Blade onto Lee Sin, and then dealing 20 damage. It is incredibly easy to level Lee Sin up when you have access to so many gems. And we're not even running Goat here. A lot of people will run Goat in this list, but you have Mentor of Stones, so when that dies, you get 3 gems. Really easy to level up that way. On top of that, you have the flexibility of Zoe and the early Invoke package and the Solari Priestess, even just for those really key Written in the Stars moments where you can draw your Lee Sin already having a +2/+2, or if you just draw Zoe, that's fine. It's great. And then you just have the consistent annoyance that is the Targon and Ionia package, right? You have so much power in this package here. You have Hush, still one of the crazy cards that has ever been printed for sure. And then you have so much flexibility with Guiding Touch, Notify, Deny. And then on top of all that, you run 3 deep meds. You cast plenty of spells, so you actually can get 2 of these absolutely absurd spells in these 2 regions to your hand. Lee Sin is forced to be reckoned with. He's a great tournament deck to bring, and I think Lee Sin Zoe is probably at the top of all of the Lee Sin decks currently, so definitely would suggest that as well as if you're bringing a list. And like I said, I think the big out thing here is no Goat here. I think that's a pretty big difference. A lot of people like to run the Mountain Goat. Not that you have to, but I mean, there's so many good 2-drops. Sparklefly and Eye of the Dragon, both just such high-quality 2-drops. It's crazy. So that was his list. So we had Discard Aggro, Scouts, and Lee Sin Zoe. So we're not seeing any of the big things like Trundle Lysandre's a really big deck at the moment. Go Hard people are still kind of bringing a little bit. There's some weird variations. There's a lot of other burn decks out there as well that people have been bringing. You didn't see those here either. So I really like this lineup. It was pretty spicy. I think in the current meta, and again, it was just the meta had just changed, so there was a lot going on, and I think Den made a really good call. I mean, he obviously went 6-0 on the day, so I mean, results speak them for themselves. But super solid list, and like I said, these deck codes will all be in the Google Doc below the video. I'm not going to just post each individual deck here, but every list, including all 80 players, but also including a separate page for just the top 16 where you can find Dens, will be there. So if you're looking for a gauntlet run, consider Discard, Scouts, and Lee. Up next is our good friend Sneak here. The logo on the top left of this video is designed by Sneak. He absolutely crushed it. Designed all of our new logos, so really appreciate Sneak. On top of that, he's played in multiple of our little in-house tournaments. Great guy, part of the OTK club as well. And he brought Trundle Lysandre, Lulu, Shen, and Jarvan. I mean, we got Lulu on a 6-0. I mean, how hyped is that? And on top of that, LeBlanc and Ashe, which is a really sweet list. So again, some pretty spicy stuff. So the most standard here, like we've been talking about, is Trundle Lysandre. It's a really solid list. We've seen it a lot in the ladder. Obviously Spectral Matron. Right here we have 3 Spectral Matron. Combining it with the Watcher that you get from Lysandre is a devastating kill. Absolutely powerful move there. Trundle is a mid-game machine. He can just holster and, just buckle you down. You get all of the ice pillars for free to really help you level up Lysandra quickly. And you start pumping out damage. The rest of it is pretty straightforward, right? You have a lot of good stall with, Avalanche, Withering Wail, Vengeance, Vile Feast. You have all these great stall cards on top of using Three Sisters as well for some more flexibility. Just a super solid list all around. And Blighted Ravine is absolutely bonkers as well. That card just came out for, this most recent patch. And it does a ton of damage and work in stall decks like this. So we should all be pretty familiar with this list. And, there's definitely variations that Sneak made here compared to the standard ones. But this is a super solid list, and it's something that has to be answered. It's really good into a lot of different things, so I'm excited to see it in action again in the top 16. His second list is this Lulu Shen Jarvan. I mean, I love this. Lulu just got buffed. We were wondering, are we going to be seeing Lulu coming up? And in fact, we did. Lulu Shen and Jarvan came together, and you can kind of see the core of this deck looks a lot like a Fiora Shen list. You got Fleet Feathers, Green Blades, Brightsteel Protectors, River Shapers, Sithra the Bold, etc., etc. And, that is a proven and true great mid-range list, right? Demacia and Ionia go together very well with this, anti-spell and barrier, Fiesto, and just all this crazy strong, different abilities there between the two regions that turn out to be really, really powerful. Lulu kind of just drops into this list nicely, right? Fiora is down to 2 health now. So she's feeling a little bit weak, while Lulu actually is now a 3-3, taking the stats. And there's a ton that you can support, right? You can support a River Shaper really nicely, make that a 4-4. Great, now it probably won't die in the trade on turn 4. I mean, it could, but it might not. And then if it gets an extra strike, that's an extra spell, which is endlessly valuable. On top of just being able to do this to a Fleet Feather, or to a Caretaker, or to a Laurent Protege. I mean, any of these cards, super solid options for Lulu to support. And then, you just look at the spell package, and we just know this is a consistent spell package for this type of deck, right? You got Sharp Sight, Single Combat, Deny, Golden Aegis. So here we're running Golden Aegis instead of Relentless Pursuit, which is really solid. You get the Barrier, helps you level up Shen, and you get the Rally there. So super strong card for this list. And, all around, super solid list. I love seeing Lulu back in the game a little bit, and she slots right back into this Fiora list, and kind of makes, the most of the situation, and it works. This last list here is pretty cool. We've seen a lot of Ash Sejuani and using cards like the Trefarian Assessor and Reckoning and things like that to, really get a lot of value with those packages. It's a really solid mid-range list. It crushes a certain list, absolutely crushes them. People can't handle the Frostbite early. You have Flash Freeze, you have Brittle Steel, you got Culling Strike to utilize all of that for extra damage. And, your unit package is super great. You got the Trapper, the Glory Seeker, the Iceveil Archer, and you just have a really solid curve that you hit. The Trefarian Assessor helps you draw cards once you start playing the Hearthguard, and also both your champions have 5 attacks, so that really works out. And then the one of Splash with Shunpo is so spicy. I got to talk to Sneak. I hope we won a game with that at least once here. I think that's such a sweet tech here. And, obviously we got the big finisher, which is Reckoning, right? Reckoning can just catch people off guard. These are open deck lists, but it's still, you have to respect Reckoning. A lot of these units, he can get a 5-attack unit on turn 2 with the Trevarian Glory Seeker. So obviously Reckoning, once you have 6 mana built up, is going to be online and available pretty quickly, because you have a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and a 4-drop all with 5 attack. So once you get that on board, you have to respect Reckoning, and this list can just punish people that get caught off guard with that, and also can just punish other mid-range decks. So this, again, Sneak's lineup here was Trundle Lysandra, Jarvan, Lulu, and Shen, and then Ash LeBlanc. These last 2 decks are just absolute mid-range nightmares to go against. They're super strong between the barriers and the deniability that this list brings, and also the freezing and health buffing that this list brings between Elixir of Iron and Troll Chant. Absolute terrors to deal with, and if you don't feel like dealing with one of those, then you get to deal with 3 Spectral Matrons and a Watcher. So super solid lineup for Sneak here. Again, we had 80 players. I'm highlighting 2 of the top 16 because they were both 2 players that went 6-0 on the day, but Like I said, if you're interested to catch that top 16, make sure to tune in to Skarzig's Twitch, which I'll have a link for in the description below. We'll be casting that all day on Saturday, the 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're interested to catch that top 16, make sure to tune in there. Guys, we have new swag out now. If you're interested to take a peek at some of that, we got bottles, masks, stickers, iPhone cases, all that cool stuff. I'll have a link to our Teespring below. I think they'll ship anywhere in the world, so you can just take a look at that, see if you're interested in any of that. Stay tuned to our Twitter, our Discord. Appreciate all the love on YouTube. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, leave a share the video if you're feeling super generous. We appreciate all the support, and until next time, guys, we'll catch you.